Welcome back to WCS Europe Season 2 Premier League round of 16. One game down already, and it wasn't the result that many expected. Stefano going down 2-0. He will get another chance to try and come back up and win his place in the round of 8 as he did in Season 1, as you can see on your screen. Duck confirmed as the first man through to the winners' final. He'll play either Welmu or LucifroN, which is our next match. A very intriguing matchup, I'm sure you'll agree. It is a man who has been in the shadow of his two Finnish friends for many a year, but now finds himself, after some hard work in StarCraft 2, as the top Finn in WCS Europe. He is, of course, Welmu, who beat Baby Knight and Ret in the round of 32. No small feat beating those two players. We've already seen Ret in the round of 16. Baby Knight, of course, the legend killer from Season 1. Alongside him, LucifroN, losing 2-1 to Naniwa in the early part of the round of 32, but came back, winning both of his next two games to claim his place in Season 2 Premier League for the second time in a row in the round of 16. How far can one half of the Spanish Armada go, or will it be the man emerging from the shadows of Finland? We're about to find out. It's Welmu versus LucifroN. Here's our commentary team of Apollo and Colaris.
Thanks very much, Paul. Emerging from the shadows, indeed. He does like his stalkers, does Mr. Welmu. But you're right, it's an intriguing matchup. Welmu versus LucifroN here. It's certainly a bit of an odd match. Very, very odd indeed. Welmu is someone who isn't that well known just yet, but I think he's definitely going to end up making a name for himself. He's constantly improving, constantly doing very well for himself.
I mean, in 2011, 2012, Welmu was a player that kind of only played in Finland, or Finnish tournament, should I say. He only played in Finland, and he came to the occasional DreamHack with a single appearance in America and MLG Arena through qualification. In 2013, he's now pushing himself into the round of 16 and could go further today. He's one of the highest ranked Protoss players on the European ladder under a barcode name, which nobody really knows who is who. But he's playing some of the best StarCraft that he's played in his entire career. Now it's time to show it on camera, on stage, for everyone here.
LucifroN was indeed the first pick, so he gets rid of Red City. No Terrans really want to play against any Protosses on that map as of late. That gets vetoed out very, very quickly in this map pool as of late. I can't remember the last time we've actually cast a game on Red City in WCS. Maybe we cast it once in the round of 32.
Yesterday.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure we cast the game on it yesterday.
Did we?
I'm really sure.
I'm so sorry.
I'm really sure, Colaris. I'm actually really sure.
Oh, damn it.
I'm really sure.
I have a very, very bad memory.
I don't know who it was, though, but I think so.
Anyway, and we've had Neoplanet S, Newkirk Precinct, and Star Station removed as well. So we end up in Belshire Vestige, we end up in Derelict Watcher, and Whirlwind.
Yeah, they're pretty three good maps. Actually, it was Hasjobs versus Grubby, the one where the proxy Void Ray versus Oracle thing.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't as memorable as the other ones, to be fair.
Yeah, it wasn't that big of a game, so I don't blame you for not remember that one. But,
Thanks.
Who do you think wins this? I think LucifroN 2-0.
You think LucifroN 2-0? I want to give Welmu a little bit more room. I think this is his potential to actually make some upsets happen. I was talking to him previously, and he said that maybe there's a few chinks in the armor of LucifroN. This is the match he feels least confident in going into this group, but ultimately there are some vulnerabilities he feels he's identified in LucifroN's play. So maybe if he can work those in, he may be able to upset Mr. LucifroN.
LucifroN doesn't really do anything too different, too crazy in the early stages, so I'm interested to see what those holes are that Welmu thinks he may have identified in LucifroN's play. LucifroN is a very straight-up player when it comes to Terran versus Protoss, but in recent times, even at a DreamHack interview, I think it was, said that his worst matchup is against Protoss, and we'll talk about that in a second, because this guy coming up first, Welmu, has got one of the best Protoss versus Protoss I've seen. Very aggressive.
Oh, it was crazy.
A fantastic play. Against Zerg, he's hyper aggressive.
Yeah.
Against Terran, though, he is hit or miss sometimes.
He certainly is. And then we have this man, LucifroN, here, going into this. Touted as one of the best foreigners currently, the best European Terran, as listed here. But he is, as a lot of people have seen, and time again, he's still in such that big result. He keeps going to these tournaments, and everyone's like, he's actually going to do really well. He's going to do well. He's going to do well. But he never actually gains the stride necessary to actually get those results. So he needs to go through Welmu here. Both players sitting at fantastic win ratios across all matchups, pretty much. But Welmu, I think, is the surprise in that regard, because if you look at his matchups, it's like 74% against Protoss, 68% against Terran, 70% against Zerg. Amazing, amazing win percentages. But again, as Paul said, he's always in the shadows.
He is always in the shadows, but it's about time to come out and really put his name out there for one of the best Protoss players within Europe, because that's what he is regarded as when it comes to playing online from the comfort of home. But if he can do that here today, and if he advances to the round of 8, and just remember that we only had one Protoss player making it to the round of 8 last season, so far we do have 2 that have made it into the round of 8. Maybe he could be the 3rd, potentially 4th, if we saw, imagine a round of 8 full of Protoss. But you bring up a great point with LucifroN, who is regarded online as well as one of the better players in Europe, like Happy, like Welmu, and whatnot. But when it comes to playing at live events, something doesn't click for LucifroN. He loses games, here and there against different opponents, but he's never just gone ahead and just won all the way to the finals. He's finished 4 times, or 3 times, I think, this year in the round of 8 with Heart of the Swarm. 3 round of 8 finishes, and that's his highest. I guess if we look closer into that, for the ranking for Season 1, he did finish 6th. So like round of 8, but 6th in Season 1, just behind TLO, who grabbed that 5th place spot. And he had a couple of back-to-back round of 8 finishes at DreamHack, and only finished in the round of 16 at Asus ROG just this past weekend. It's time for LucifroN to get another round of 8 and hopefully higher. I mean, how many seasons can we keep saying LucifroN's going to do well this season? He's going to do well this season. No, this season.
Yeah, exactly.
No, this season. Like, it needs to happen now.
Eventually, it's going to fall off. Like, we'll eventually just start saying, well, okay, I mean...
LucifroN's just going to hit the round of 8 again.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. And then he's going to meet his brother and everything's going to go all downhill from there. But anyway, I mean, LucifroN is funny because even in the round of 32 here in the Season 2, he's actually already had a little bit of problems against Protoss. He got defeated by Naniwa 2-1. So this gives Welmu a little bit of an opportunity to see what Naniwa did against him, maybe evaluate those games as well. Meanwhile, unfortunately for LucifroN, Welmu didn't actually have to play any Terrans in the round of 32. Of course, there's other tournaments going on and stuff like that, but what WCS for both of these players, for all of the players really participating in WCS Europe, takes more precedence over any other tournament, really. So it's maybe they're just saving their best builds for this tournament, and Welmu has come in prepared, guaranteed, very, very prepared.
Yeah, he's come in prepared. He was ecstatic about making it into the round of 16, advancing through from his group against Baby Knight in that awesome PvP series we saw, and then beating out Rhett in the winners match 2-1 to go through his first place. And I know he's prepared for today. I think he probably would have prepared more so for today than he did for the Asus ROG tournament. I think he would have been very open-minded about that. But in the WCS Premier League, you know who you're playing weeks before. When it comes to the round of 32 and the round of 16, they know that they were going to meet for a very, very long time here. Let's see if that preparation can really show itself.
All right, well, we're getting loaded up into game number 1 here between Welmu and LucifroN. The winner of this series will advance on to play against DuckDuck, and meanwhile, the loser will fall down to play against Stefano, a scary place.
Don't want to be down there. Don't want to be down there against Stefano.
Not at all. All right, let's jump in as we have spun down to the bottom right-hand corner here as our blue Terran, representing Maus and Spain. Give it up for LucifroN. And spawning up to the top left-hand corner here as our red Protoss, representing NRS, Neurosoft, a Romanian team, and Finland. Give it up for Welmu.
I would be quite happy. I kind of come off that really high there. I was like, I would be happy to see Welmu make it into the round of 8. I loved his games in the previous round. I think he played very well against Baby Knight and Rhett.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see more from him. I think it would be a good confidence booster for him potentially to open up something bigger than just what we've seen in the round of 32 and the round of 16. He's young, he's talented, he's hardworking. That's like, he's with all these 3 put together, like the potential possibilities are endless.
Yeah, sky's the limit, man. Sky is the limit here. LucifroN, meanwhile, though, he's opening up with 12-12 in terms of that barracks and then that gas. As this is something that we saw MVP doing quite a lot yesterday. So would be surprised if we actually saw a reactor into double Reapers from LucifroN. Normally he likes to just go for the Reaper before reactor, so that might be his flavor.
LucifroN copies the Korean Terrans a lot with his style. He copies the likes of Supernova, Innovation, MVP, and Flash, like the big names, the big Terran names. He does like to copy them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a similar style from MVP yesterday. Maybe not be with the Hellions that we saw come out from him yesterday, but something along the lines of maybe Marine Widowmine pressure, drop pressure, something like that.
Yeah, and we've always seen time and time again LucifroN actually adapt and be able to use those kind of drop plays very, very strongly, especially against Protoss as well as Zerg. But here in this game, with this Reaper coming out now for LucifroN, he's going to actually start poking around and have a little bit of a look, see what Welmu is up to. But again, I'm very interested. I didn't want to probe too much into what Welmu was, doing in terms of trying to find out his opponent's weaknesses and stuff like that. I wanted to just save that for what we were going to see. But I'm very intrigued to see how he's going to try and exploit LucifroN, if at all.
Well, he's played it out, very normal. Quite a fast Nexus, no second gas. Cancelled the Zealot to get that Nexus down nice and early and just focus on getting the Mothership core, then the second gas. So it is a nice economic opening for Welmu. No signs of aggression at all from him, of course, without the second gas.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, the Reaper is going to identify a lot of this, sees the Nexus at the particular timing, and pokes in and sees no units, just the Mothership core, no ground units more specifically, so he knows that that Zealot was pretty much cut to get that Nexus out due to the timing of it, and just finishes up his command center knowing that there's not too much he can do right now.
Yeah, and he's got the factory down. This is exactly how MVP played yesterday, just getting the Marines out 2 by 2, and then with the factory can begin Widowmine production and also probably add on a starport if he wants to be aggressive with a medivac with this too.
And, well, with that now, that Nexus is going to finish up in a second over to the left, and Mr. Harstam does indeed tweet us. I think Welmu might do some all-ins. This is kind of what I was expecting as well, with the, the ability to try and find chinks in the armor of LucifroN. And probably we'll see Reapers out of LucifroN. Well, he did indeed get something right here. But actually, we were speaking about the top Dutch players yesterday in the form of Grubby and Rhett, and Harstam is making a very, very strong claim for himself as well, actually beating Rhett recently quite often.
Yeah, beating Rhett, trading wins and losses with Rhett.
Yeah.
Definitely, putting his name up there. Those are definitely obviously the top 3 in the Netherlands. But Welmu did throw down a robotics facility here. Stalker first, not Sentry, so he won't be able to use the Sentry for Hallucinated Phoenix, but he does have the robotics facility a little bit earlier here, and definitely will need to focus on getting more than one observer here. The potential, well, as we can see, with the middle lines coming across the map already, he's going to need to be able to spot these if he isn't able to pick them off early.
And LucifroN just poking out with this, looking to force out a Photon Overcharge if he can actually get it, as well as maybe force a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction in the form of, maybe a little bit extra unit production from Welmu, but he actually dives in with the Reaper.
Welmu's got no idea. He hasn't scouted all game long. He's got nothing in the middle of the map, and look at these. These Marines just walk right into the probe line. The Widowmine could get in there. We could see a lot of probes go down if he's not careful.
Very good distraction tactics there by LucifroN. Does set himself up nicely in that natural, and the observer eventually, where is it? Oh, Reaper just poking around, and both observers are heading across the map. Yeah, he needs to bring one of those back.
Reaper got 2 kills, and on the natural, Widowmine got 1. But I'm not sure if he realized that the Widowmine got a kill there because he was focused with the Reaper. So if he didn't realize and doesn't clean that natural Widowmine up, then of course he's going to lose more probes.
Yeah, he's dedicating a 3rd observer rally to that natural, whilst the other 2 head over the other side of the map. So he wants to be very proactive about spotting what's going on from his opponent quickly, and then keeping an eye on the parameters of his base. But the medevac, I don't think he actually spotted that.
I'm not sure if he did or not, but it is making its way across here. This observer may catch the end of it, or the full of it. LucifroN quite aggressive to begin this series up. Nothing majorly dealt yet, though.
And, well, I mean, it's good from LucifroN just in terms of keeping his opponent pinned back more than anything, as well as doing this little bit of damage. He's killed off 3 workers so far, with the unit counts currently sitting at 44 probes, 237 SCVs. And that's a lot of gateways here from Welmu. I think this is, what a few of us were expecting, 7 extra gateways. And he sees it all! He already sees it all with this drop aggression.
Widowmine has a couple of probe kills there too. LucifroN scouts, 5 probes gone down. Not the highest amount, and he is going to lose this medivac here. Oh, boost past actually, just at the last minute.
Oh.
Okay, it does fall down. But, okay, so a lot of gateways coming in here. The one thing that's going on with LucifroN's playstyle is that he's got a 3rd command center before even adding on the extra barracks for this stim and whatnot. So he's set up very nice to even lose SCVs here, but look how far away stim is, how far away combat shields is. Bunkers are coming down. He knows that this potential's coming.
And, I mean, even with those extra bunkers, even with the 2 extra bunkers, he still has to be careful because there are going to be Immortals mixed into this army. There's going to be a lot of firepower here for Welmu, and we're going to have to see how LucifroN can fully accommodate for that because it can be a scary push.
Well, 3rd comes down, and I think that Welmu realizes that when it was spotted, the element of surprise is gone. Therefore, as you can see, even with the Observer, Welmu sees it himself. It's going to be very difficult to break this, so he has decided to sit back and expand. But the big problem for Welmu is because he threw down all those gateways, he doesn't have robotics. He doesn't have the robotic space to build Colossus, and he's now having to kind of upgrade the gateway units that he has to build through having all these gateways through Zealot Charge, and then go over to the Templar Archives. But the Templar Archives is a structure itself that needs to complete, and then he needs to research Storm to make use of the High Templar. With Stim on its way, Medivac's already on the way out too, or already out already.
And the thing is,
how can he defend against a push out? This may be very difficult for him to hold on to.
Yeah, and nor did he even have a second forge. So transitioning into a later game against an opponent here, whilst he's only adding on that second forge now, is a pretty tough thing for Welmu to do. He needs to get those upgrades going quickly. The armor is just not even there, I don't think, just yet. And, well, actually, okay, I take that back. He does have the armor already with +1, so he does have a pretty good standing with his upgrades. Just needs that second forge to finish up, and Chrono Boost, and lots.
That's right, just go and overtake LucifroN, who does have 1-1 near completion. But with Storm now on its way, is LucifroN going to be able to potentially get over there before Storm is done? With these 2 Medivacs coming, I think he'll go with 4. Does scan to see if his opponent has an Observer there. Yeah, he does pick it off.
Yeah, still 2 on the map here, so as you said, observers are going to be very useful here for Welmu, and just in general, we're seeing Protoss utilizing a lot of observers nowadays to just fight for that war of information that has become so important here, especially in this matchup more than others. And LucifroN, he's sharking around here.
Well, we got a Warp Prism drop on the right-hand side with loaded High Templar. He's headed towards the main base. 2 High Templar, 2 Zealots to get into that SCV line.
Storm is 10 seconds from completion, so this might be a little bit quicker than he was expecting. He drops them in, he's like, I want to Storm, I'm gonna get surrounded, Storm needs to finish, there we go, and he does end up going for it, and actually killing off a lot because they grouped up to kill them.
Wow, look at that.
That was weird.
And at the same time, a drop inside the main base here, and LucifroN says, you kill my SCVs, I kill your Nexus.
Oh, taking a big hit there in the economy. A fantastic snipe out there for LucifroN, but he's going to have to be pushed back just a little bit. Not that many Zealots really to be able to tank this away. That's a massive drop there from LucifroN, as it will continue to kite on back here and try and deal with that, but he kills the Templar Archives. A fantastic pick off once again.
Yeah, and LucifroN just picks up and gets out with all 4 Medivacs. That is a trade that I would definitely put in favor of LucifroN. Killing the main Nexus, even though 20 SCVs were killed, he's already back up to 53. And Mules.
This is impressive here by LucifroN right now. Very impressive indeed. Killing off the Warp Prism. Good cleanup here. And, well, even a pylon has been spotted over to the left-hand side. So any ability for Welmu to go for little counterattacks here and there has been shut down right now.
Yeah, and he's pylon blocked here. Unfortunately, Welmu was very much so concentrated on making sure that drop did damage. He didn't see the drop coming in himself. And now we have a big problem. This is something we saw a lot yesterday, is that Welmu needs to get over to Colossus fast, because we have Ghosts coming in. Once Ghosts are coming in and he's able to EMP snipe the High Templar, then his army's just a bunch of gateway units, which aren't going to deal well against the high amount of Marines, Marauders, and Medivacs.
Well, it's a difficult step here for Welmu to take just in general. How do you actually come back from this position, this deficit that you now find yourself in against LucifroN, who is going to continue this harassment across these 2 locations, the first and the third. Very spread out. Hard to actually defend both of these once LucifroN gets himself set up nicely, especially with the supply advantage he has. Storms and Photon Overcharge will push this away at the main, at the third even, and then main is quite well defended as well, so Welmu's doing all right.
LucifroN's spending a lot of scans. He wanted to drop inside the main base. He tried to pull Welmu down to his 3rd base to be able to drop inside the main, but Welmu's kind of stayed put with his units. Therefore, we aren't really going to be seeing any drop play coming in from LucifroN, and Welmu will be able to establish himself up defensively across 3 bases. But the next thing that Welmu's going to have to worry about, even though his defense is pretty tight and won't get dropped anymore, or hopefully shouldn't get dropped anymore, is when 2-2 finishes and the ghosts are coming out. That's going to be something that may be very difficult to deal with.
And he's even getting that blue flame for those Hellbats after identifying that his opponent had, you know, just quite a lot of Zealots. He has 15 Zealots in this composition right now. Those Zealots are not going to do too much at all. Maybe soak up a little bit of damage, but then they're going to melt very, very quickly. And this Warp Prism drop is on the way through the middle of the map. So Welmu needs to do something. Welmu needs to try and do some damage himself, but a great scan sees what he needs to see.
Yeah, he sees the robotics facility being chrono boosted, so he knows that the Colossus is intact. So they're coming out. So a second starport was added immediately, and the Viking production's really ramping up. So even though LucifroN wasn't able to get in there before Colossus, he will be able to deal with them when they're out, hopefully.
Oh, does not want to lose a Colossus, but that is going to go down. A great snipe out there from LucifroN. Meanwhile, these Zealots trying to do something. But again, LucifroN with the precautionary measures, a bunker behind the mineral line, is shutting down this aggression.
It's okay, man. A sentry drop's great. It's killed a couple of SCVs.
Yeah, well. Well, Storm for just a few units here. LucifroN separates those off very nicely. He's going to go for the Nexus again, and I think he's probably going to get this. The 2-2 being so useful here, really killing things off very, very fast. Tries to just get on out and saves a lot of the units as well, even that medevac.
You know that sentry's still on the 3rd base. It's actually got 6 kills now. 7 kills. 7, the SCV drop.
Wow.
Yeah, the SCV being dropped by this sentry. Look at that, 7, 8 kills.
What is going on? 6 sentry. Anyway, well, second Robo is being added on because I mean he just needs the Colosso numbers out where he can, but there's already 5 Vikings out, and the Viking numbers aren't going to dwindle or drop anytime soon. LucifroN has a great army here to deal with what his opponent actually has, and even an area where Protoss would normally have an advantage in the upgrades, it's not really there for him either. Those are timed out very, very normally in comparison to... Oh!
Nice. Fast fingers there by Welmu. Feedbacks all 3 medevacs, and they all got killed.
They did go down.
Nice feedbacks there from Welmu. 3 medivacs for just a bunch of energy on that High Templar. But now LucifroN's moving out with a very strong army. LucifroN, I love what he's doing in this series, or in this map, should I say, is I know that he doesn't like to play late game versus Protoss. A lot of Terran players don't. He struggles, but he's making sure in the mid stages of this matchup, he's able to get a lead and an advantageous position to be in. And now he's at the later game with that lead. Now let's see if he can nail the fight. Let's see if he can, you know, really beat this army down. He scans, he sees ahead of time what's there. Does he even decide to take that fight, or does he wait a little bit till his +3 is done? Cloak is on its way as well. And
it's a great point that you bring up. Nailing the fight is so important. The dance is going to start here with the High Templars and Ghosts, and depending on who has the better control, while Storms could rip up this army, or EMPs could absolutely obliterate all the shields on that army as well. So it's going to be a difficult call here. Welmu's going to try and play this out patiently. Maybe get a Viking or 2 with some blinks, as that's always very useful. The Photon Overcharge is there, and he's not going to take the engagement just yet.
I visioned out a bunch of force fields trapping all those ghosts there, and my heart started to race.
That's some scary stuff, and you're right. And if he'd have taken out all of those, that's a huge investment to go down.
But even though LucifroN's done a lot of damage throughout the game, Welmu is still max. He's still got a good size army. He's still at 3-3. Look at that, 129 supply to 132. So LucifroN has gained himself an advantage, but never won the game from that. And he will have to take a big 200 supply fight against Welmu, a position that is sometimes very difficult for Terran players to accomplish. So let's see if LucifroN can take that good fight.
Well, he's certainly moving forwards here.
This is a good start.
That is a very, very good start. Some free volleys on a Colossus. Some great damage being done. A whiffed Storm. Not too good there for Welmu. Oh, some good EMPs. He hits a few of those High Templars. Really draining the firepower here that Welmu has currently. And the Vikings, stray on forwards a little bit. Doesn't want to lose too many of those. But there's not enough ground army there for Welmu to actually deal with that army just yet.
There's no flanking High Templar. There's no Storms that he needs to be afraid of here. And LucifroN is going to come to this left-hand side and kind of kill this 4th.
Yep, the Zealots are going to try and do something as well, but not doing too much as this army will kill off a fully fledged base. Welmu trying to keep his opponent pinned back in terms of just warping in, harassing Zealots where he can. So it's very important for him to try and buy some time, but LucifroN's army, again, with that many ghosts out on the field, very strong indeed.
LucifroN's got a very good army, but he's also not mining from a 4th base. He's taken quite a long time to do so, considering how early he took his 3rd. So I think this is a little bit of a problem for him. He's even losing, he lost that bunker and is losing SCVs to these Zealots. LucifroN, if he takes a bad fight here, I don't think he's going to really be able to replenish it properly with the income that he has until he establishes a new base, which is being harassed on the right-hand side as well here by DTs and Zealots. So Welmu now with a lot of money in the bank and is building a 4th Nexus on the right-hand side. LucifroN walks into a storm, loses a bunch of units. Welmu could very easily take this game, and these seem to be the problems that LucifroN's encountering in this matchup, and they're coming back to haunt him once again here.
And there's about 3 storms out, fully ready here for these High Templars, with around 7 more on the way for all of these High Templars across the map, along with his army as well. He just needs to separate them up and then try and make sure that the EMPs don't land properly on this army. Blinks forwards here, trying to get a Viking. Doesn't really get too much. Ooh, good EMPs once again.
LucifroN's also being cornered in a way. He needs a fight now because he's losing a lot of SCVs in his 3rd base, and, well, he's going to fight. Everything's clumped up.
Morphs in the Archons here right underneath those Vikings. That's a ton of Vikings, actually. He has so many Vikings. They kill off the Colossi, but they're not going to be just too useful yet, but it doesn't really matter, as the ground army for LucifroN has already done quite a lot here as well, pushing on forwards. Cloak also being of a high benefit, as the one observer is nowhere to be seen in this army. He's trying to crank out 2 more right now, but I don't even think he's going to have the ground army to compete.
Good storm there. Zealots should get into this, though. That's a lot of Zealots, and with Vikings being landed, they will do damage, but will they do enough? Cloak goes doing so much there with the Medivacs healing them. LucifroN is ahead in supply, but another good storm, another one from the right-hand side as well. But the Ghost still strong. Where are the observers? Where are more units?
He just killed the 2 observers. The 2 observers that flew in just died off to those Vikings, and there's still one over to the left-hand side that's not doing anything here. Welmu is on the back foot. Welmu needs to try and shut this army down. It's a small army, but the majority of it he actually can't even just see.
Oh, this is really close, this game, but it looks like LucifroN may be able to edge out very closely. Welmu's destroyed his economy back at home with Zealots and DTs being warped in, but he can't get towards this army. And with a base being mined on the right-hand side for LucifroN and mules being called down, he can keep on reinforcing over. Look at the production tab. He'll be able to keep on making units.
And the observer is still there, though, so we need to drop his scan and actually try and lift those Vikings off once again to actually shut that down. The Archons even will save that position for now, but he has lost quite a considerable amount of probes here. He's down to 34, but it is still against 28. The mules will help a lot, though.
Yeah, Welmu's in so much trouble, man. He's only mining from that top right-hand side base. LucifroN is now double in supply, and, well, that could have really gone either way towards the end.
And, I mean, it all comes really back to what we saw at the very beginning of the game. Welmu was gearing up for a big push. He was, definitively. But his plans were stifled. And now, I mean, this is what you get when, unfortunately, you have to reside to your plan B here. Welmu not able to fully kind of eke it out just yet.
No, this is very difficult for Welmu. He's only mining from that single base, and he's unable to build a big enough army to deal with what's already out there and all the reinforcements coming from LucifroN, who is now, looking almost triple in army supply. And with so many Marines here, he either needs a lot of, High Templar for a lot of Storms or a lot of Colossus, and he really can't have either.
Such a strong army right now. I mean, 84 army supply to 36. The only way that Welmu could actually kill off this army is by landing perfect storms and trying to keep himself in it like that. The incomes, not too big a difference, but LucifroN could easily, once again, land some mules and just get that going quite quickly. He's just playing cautiously, knowing that his opponent is very much on the back foot.
Yeah, and as you can see, there's only a couple hundred minerals left per mineral field on that top base, while LucifroN has a lot down there, and also has another command center that he could easily pick up and move to another base. There's the natural, there's a main, there's one here as well. So LucifroN's in a very good position, and he knows that, he probably knows it, but he also doesn't want to throw this game away. It was very close for a long time. Even though LucifroN led most of the game, he was definitely leading for it. But when it comes to 200 supply versus 200 supply, it comes down to the fight. And if LucifroN had messed that up, then of course he would have lost this game. But as he now takes a 50 supply lead and maintains this lead, he does not want to give it away. He is holding on very tight, and his game plan, stop Welmu from taking a 4th base. Eventually, he'll suffocate with resources and will have to fight me, and I'm going to be maxed out, hopefully.
And with a nuke as well, apparently, as LucifroN just mixes that on in, maybe for a bit of a fireworks display later on. Just so many Vikings in production right now, and one of the only ways, again, that Welmu can really make this work out is if he gets such great AoE potential in the Storms, in the Colossi, but he still needs the Gateway army to back that up as well. So he's really, really pinned back to a position that's extremely uncomfortable here for Welmu. He knows how far he is behind. He has to. He's just going to try and play it out and see if he can make anything happen, if not for that 1% chance.
Yeah, consistent scans coming in from LucifroN, just kind of saying how big is the army and whatnot, but now he's seen the 4th base trying to come up. And well, that one Marine does, with a dying last shot, pick off that High Templar. But now LucifroN knows his opponent's trying to get a new base, and that's where problems occur if it's able to be mined from. So he's definitely now going to move across here. There's absolutely no way he'll let Welmu mine from this.
Yeah, and he certainly has the army equipped enough to actually shut this down. And those Vikings could easily just hover across this small little cliff. And a good storm actually does catch a lot of that air army, not the bio just yet. He does have a lot of storms behind this as well, so that could certainly cause him a few problems. But the EMPs did hit very, very nicely.
And I think that LucifroN's comfortable with the lead he has now. It's 160 supply to just 85. He scans. He knows it's not that big of an army. A massive EMP went down on those High Templar. There's absolutely no reason he's not just going to come and pick up this map number 1.
And mopping in the Archons here, a little bit of a desperation move, but the EMPs just rain down, and there you go, GG for game number 1. LucifroN says, yeah, I'm pretty good, guys. I'm pretty good.
I finished in 6th place last season, Welmu. You weren't even in Premier League. You came from Challenger. We are different types of players. LucifroN should not be looking in his own mind to lose any games here to Welmu. And as fierce as Welmu is, and he is really up and coming with his results in 2013 and within Heart of the Swarm, he seems, in LucifroN's mind, no match for him, hopefully. But there definitely was, you know, weaknesses. There wasn't a full strength, strong game out there from LucifroN, I don't think.
This now opens up, I feel, an interesting dynamic. We saw there in game number 1. Again, Welmu was gearing up for a very aggressive mid-game push. Now, LucifroN sees that in game 1, and Welmu obviously had to deviate. It wasn't going to work. Well, it probably wasn't going to work. So now, does Welmu go to that again? But LucifroN's going to be extra diligent about scouting. He's going to say, oh, you tried it in game number 1, it didn't work, you had to fall back onto something else. Game number 2 comes along, you're probably just going to try and go for an all-in, and I'm just going to be extra careful about my scouting and see it.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages from kind of being aggressive that not too many people look at when they say, all right, when I'm going to play StarCraft, am I an aggressive player or not? A lot of people play very passive and do their own thing, very defensive. But one of the advantages of being that aggressive player is that while you're being aggressive, you're inside his base, you're looking at everything he's trying to develop. So it is easy to build up reads. Of course, you sacrifice a lot to be aggressive, but you gain certain things as well.
You certainly do here. And going into game number 2, will we see LucifroN gain that 2nd win? Or will Welmu bring it on back here to try and contend for that spot to face off against Duck? So we jump into Derelict Watcher and spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner as our red Protoss, representing NRS and Finland. Give it up for Welmu. And up to the top right-hand corner as our blue Terran. 1 game up. Looking pretty impressive. Representing Spain and Mousebots. Give it up for LucifroN.
Derelict Watcher, does Welmu try to be aggressive? I don't think he does. I think that he would have realized that throwing down all those gateways, should I really done that? But as you pointed out, you spoke to Welmu, you said that he felt there was maybe an opportunity, an opening for him to beat LucifroN earlier on. And maybe that's the reason why he tried it, but it did not work.
But to the kind of dynamic that we were outlining just before, where it's like, well, LucifroN saw the gateways, thinks it's going to be aggressive, maybe just scouts. Maybe Welmu looks at game number 1 and says, well, actually, there was a good fight in that. Despite me being scouted out, and despite me going back to plan B, I held my own for quite a while. Could have gone differently if the EMPs hadn't landed well. If Welmu actually goes into a macro game on even footing with LucifroN, maybe that that could play out differently as well here for Welmu.
Yeah, if Coach Apollo was to come in,
Coach
again,
Apollo,
and that guy is sometimes good.
He is.
Only sometimes, though. It's almost the same for a lot of Protoss players in general, is to push it to the late game, to try to be defensive against this early aggression.
Yeah.
Look at what Grubby did yesterday. When we saw MVP playing so aggressive throughout the day, Grubby took a stance. He took a step back and said, I'm going to make sure that I can defend against what's coming. And if you can and do not take losses and potentially even counterattack at the same time, you will enter the mid game and then the late game in a lead. If you try something to prevent the Terran player earlier on from getting into rhythm, then you run the risk. But then the really awkward thing of all of this is, how do you punish greedy Terran players? You know, that's the kind of circle of it all. Because some Terran players are incredibly greedy. LucifroN was greedy in that game. 3rd command center before adding on his 2 barracks to get stim and combat shields. Yeah. That's really, really late upgrades. Look at Welmu though. Double gas this game. Proxy pylon this game.
Is this one of the openings he outlined before?
Stalker's trying to make its way out to prevent any scout here. That's why he's kind of boosting the gateway, not the cyber core.
And this is an interesting location here for the Stargate. Robo. Oh well. They're going to be trying to go for that Immortal bus by the looks of things.
That's right. And well, the Reaper goes in inside the main base here. And this is going to be... Well, he actually gets pushed away back. But he's in. He's
in.
And of course, he sees 1 pylon. Sees, okay, that's double gas. 3 in gas. Another pylon. Okay, so wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. And this is where LucifroN needs to be like, all right, I've got to be super careful here. And actually loses the Reaper, which is really unfortunate. But the thing is, the first thing that comes to your mind as a Terran player here is Stargate. Like you said, it's something that you said yourself.
I was like, ooh.
He is going to throw down a bunker at the front. You know, there's also player tendencies which comes in. Does LucifroN know that Welmu likes to do this and whatnot? But this definitely is either the robotics facility as we see out in the open, or it's for the Stargate. LucifroN does have Widow Mines on the way. Very good Marines in position in the main base too. Will he defend against this? This is a clear attack. 3 gateways, Robo. Observer was made to put a bit of pressure on here. Where is that Immortal though? Okay, there it is.
It's going to be on the way. Those 2 gateways finishing off behind it as well. He pokes forward, sees the Marine count. Did he see the command center? I mean, he can pretty much say it's a given for the scene.
Yeah, it's a given.
Yeah. So he knows that that investment is there. And, well, the starport is going to finish up very quickly as well. Is that a starport?
What does he build here? Is it a Viking or is it a Medivac? If he builds a Medivac, then I'm like, how does he know this is happening?
Yeah.
But a Viking would be, you know, a more all-round setup if it was to deal with Stargate. But maybe he's kind of feeling it. The Marines are in the center position like a squash court. It's the kind of in the T. They're in between the bunker and in between the mineral line here. So they're able to go to whatever's fastest.
And a siege tank is now on the way for LucifroN. It's a cool defensive option, but sometimes against Immortals, it doesn't quite work out as you would like it to. It depends entirely on how the units are positioned here for Welmu.
Yeah, and how he goes. LucifroN is definitely just taking an all-round approach. A tank isn't great against an Immortal push, but it's great against Blink. He had Marines to defend both locations here. But I'm feeling if LucifroN thinks that this is not an attack because it is getting late, 3 Immortals, and tries to expand here.
Ooh.
And if he doesn't scan the if he doesn't scan the natural or main and moves down.
Oh, and he's investing into another command center as well here whilst this comes along. Oh, the siege tank goes down. He did go for the medevac because realizing, well, that, you know, the time for an Oracle actually going for the assault has passed. But LucifroN now in a little bit of pressure here.
He did not know that this was an attack. He was getting ready. He was posturing up to go ahead and take an expand. He realized that things were a little bit late and a little bit weird, but he realizes he's in trouble. 1 Widow Mine's going to try and make it towards the mineral line. As you said, there's only 1 observer if you said that, and it is there. So if he gets a Widow Mine there, but he has to defend back at home too.
Oh, the bunker's going to go down very, very fast here with the combined might here of these 2 Immortals as well as these gateway forces. That Immortal stays alive. The SCV is going to go and finish that one off. And, you know, that's still a lot of firepower here with these 2 Immortals. He just breaks on through. And Welmu, we said he was going to try and find the chinks in the armor, and it looks like he has done.
Yeah, special tactics coming out here as LucifroN has to bring off all his SCVs, and there's no way all these SCVs are going to be able to pick off these units here with more reinforcements coming in. LucifroN is hoping, though, that maybe this Widow Mine can stop the income to prevent those reinforcements coming in. A good hit, 6 do go down, but look at those Immortals standing strong.
Yeah, he currently has 3 SCVs.
And a Marine.
And a Marine. GG! All right, game 2 goes to Welmu with his lovely mustard shirt. And we have a fight on our hands once again here at WCS EU.
I think that the biggest problem in that game was that the Reaper died so early, that it got picked up by the Stalker. LucifroN kind of knew that there was definitely aggression coming as Welmu has that cheeky grin when picking up that win. But he knew aggression was coming, but he didn't know what sort. Whether it be Blink, Stargate, or Robo. And then he was like, well, I've kind of set up to defend against everything, but nothing's kind of come, so I suppose he's not doing it, so I should expand. Maybe he's trying to play mind games, because LucifroN never scanned, only saw what he saw with that Reaper, and then Welmu just jumped at the opportunity.
Very, very nicely done there by Welmu, evening the series up, so not too bad. But LucifroN, still a fighter, still a warrior here in WCS Europe. He takes that on his chin and just keeps on going, because he just slightly misread the situation.
Well, he's just got to be so careful. I mean, like you pointed out, that he was building a 3rd command center off just a couple of units. He kind of, saw potential coming, but you can't just throw down a 3rd command center like that. He 3 command centers versus a player who's still on 1 base. You need more intel. You need to have the intel to make these decisions. He has to be so careful, because if Welmu is looking to punish that kind of greed again, then, what happens to LucifroN in this 3rd map?
You're right, that's the big thing. He didn't get the confirm on the natural even whilst going for that. But anyway, now moving into game number 3 to see who advances on to play against DuckDuck and who falls down to play against Stefano as we load up onto Whirlwind. Let's jump right on in. Spawn down to the bottom right-hand corner as our red Protoss. Evening things up, representing Finland and NRS. Give it up for Welmu. And spawning up to the top right-hand corner here as our blue Terran, representing Mousesports and Spain. Give it up for LucifroN.
So I definitely feel that LucifroN's going to approach this 3rd map very cautiously. Don't think we're going to see a fast 3rd unless he knows he can. I'd be very surprised if he went command center first here, in potential of proxy Stargate or whatnot. And I mean, walling off already with the supply depot there. If he just completes the wall off, that's safe too. On the other hand, Welmu, go Nexus first, man. He's not going to with the waypoint there, but he definitely could get away with that, and it would help him and benefit his economy a lot. There's nothing to be afraid of from LucifroN. LucifroN's the player that's on the back foot. But, with the gateway coming down, if he's not looking to get Nexus, is he looking to be aggressive with his tech if he's rushing out this gateway?
And, LucifroN, he's deciding to go for that next command center first.
It's ballsy, that is.
Yeah, and he's even going to go for it on the low ground. Well, I mean, why would he go for that high ground, but whatever.
When it comes to StarCraft 2, and the mind games that go into it, if you win that mind game, the small mind game, yes, you can actually pick up a bit of an advantage when it comes to your opening if you call his bluff. For example, Welmu's played an aggressive style in game 1 and game 2, even though he didn't really pull it off in game 1, it was there. The image of that aggression was there, and in game 2, it was clearly there. So now in game 3, is LucifroN saying, well, he could just go Nexus first, it's Whirlwind, it's a big map, he's shown aggression to me, he's probably going to think I'm going to be super defensive, then I'll go command center first. These are the kind of games that do happen so often between 2 players, especially when they know each other.
And they've certainly played each other quite a few times on the ladder. Welmu has already mentioned that prior. And LucifroN, well, he spends a lot of time on ladder. And he's sort of gaining that happy reputation in the form of, well, nobody really wants to play LucifroN on ladder. He's a bit of a menace. But Welmu is going to be spotted very, very early here, as that SCV does go clockwise.
That is lucky.
Yeah, it's very rare you see people actually scouting anti-clockwise nowadays, but it's a minor thing, I guess.
Yeah, this is a lucky SCV scout because he's in there nice and early. He sees the exact builds. He's 2 in gas, which means the Nexus is clearly going to come down. So he doesn't need to be worried of any proxies at all. So at this stage, he doesn't need to rush down a bunker even, to be honest. There's no really need to. If he wants, he can just go ahead and throw down the 3rd barracks, the extra gas inside his main base, and just kind of chill out before he gets a bunker. He realizes that nothing can really come too soon. And this is a good setup for LucifroN, especially now that we see Welmu scouting in the wrong direction.
Clockwise again, man. These people need to start mixing things up and just going anti-clockwise every so often. But indeed, we will have those Marines already poised and ready to greet any probes that would come along to scout out anyway. So he's not really going to get much intel once he gets there. Even if he went anti-clockwise, he wouldn't have got much intel when he got there. But the Robo's going to go down behind this. He should crank out those observers to see exactly what his opponent's up to. And just get confirmations of maybe what you would already expect here with the current infrastructure in place for LucifroN.
I really love LucifroN's position. I think that he's in a great setup here because he knows exactly what his opponent's doing. He's opened up with a very good build to what his opponent did too, a much faster command center and whatnot. And Welmu's in a bit of a bad position because he has to open up very generic. He needs to get the forge down, he needs to add on his gateways and whatnot. He can't be greedy, he can't be too aggressive because he has no idea what's going on unless he just says, all right, screw it. I don't know what's going on, I'll just make that decision without the intel, and that's always a gamble. So it's not a good position to be in because that is a gamble, it's a risk, it's a 50-50. Is it going to work or is it not going to work? And he has to kind of float in the middle of both.
And the forge timing here for Welmu is very, very similar to what we saw in actually game number 1 in terms of just going for a big gateway force. I kind of don't want to see a big gateway push again.
I think he's going to throw the Twilight Council down kind of soon, maybe. He's chrono boosting into the forge, and with double gases taken, I think he may play a Templar style here. A Templar style, of course, is quite strong. For the first time, Welmu is going to poke in and have a look at what's going on. We'll see the gas has been taken. That's cool to see. Sees the setup of the barracks and the factory, and we'll know that this is command center first now as well. And I think he may go for the Twilight Council and a Templar style, maybe a 2-base storm push or something. Maybe something that LucifroN, maybe that's another weakness, that LucifroN doesn't get the Ghost Academy too soon. He builds a lot of Vikings or something.
Certainly could be a potential here. Whirlwind's a map where, you do see maybe a little bit of a different play in comparison to other maps, and we'll see if Welmu is read into anything. But he goes for the Robo Bay. So just going for Colossus super quick here is certainly on the cards.
And a perfect scan from LucifroN, seeing the robotics bay inside the main base too. So LucifroN now knows exactly what he's playing up against. He doesn't need to worry about that potential Twilight Council Templar tech that a lot of Protoss players do like. And with LucifroN now seeing this, I don't even think he should be too worried about even a 2-base Colossus push coming in. It's not the fastest robotics bay. It is decently timed, but of course the Forge was in there first. So this actually opens up LucifroN to take a 3rd command center now. He knows that he can get away with it at this point. It's not too greedy. And we'll just see LucifroN play a normal game from this point.
3 extra gateways get added on here for Welmu to a total of 5 once they actually do finish up here. So it's basically looking as if it's the standard amount of gateways to just try and transition onto a 3rd base. And it doesn't necessarily have to warp in those units once those gateways are finished. Oh, but he has a 4th and 5th on with that.
Yeah, he's starting to climb up his gateway count. He's at 5 and 6, 7 now. That is a lot.
Yeah.
And he has stopped probe production for now. He's chrono boosting into his forge to rush that out, as well as the Colossus here. But I think that this shouldn't be too difficult for LucifroN to deal with. I mean, he's already set up very well. We need to see Viking production begin shortly. Depends how many medivacs he goes up to, but Welmu obviously doesn't necessarily need to be super aggressive with this. He can always fall back and start to expand and build probes after. But the way that he's going, if we start to see a lot of Stalkers brought in and more units being made, this definitely looks like he's going for it. He's got a pylon out there, a probe managed to escape.
And again, it's still medivacs only in production. Where are the Vikings here?
I think you always should go up to 4. I don't think you should go 2, then true. Vikings. I think 4's okay. If it was to go up to 6, then I'd be worried. But I think very soon that LucifroN, with a bit of drops here and there, maybe how to identify what's going on. If he sees no Twilight Council down yet, that's the biggest thing if he doesn't see.
And the Armory's on the way as well to get that 2-2 going in a second. He starts extra medivacs after the 4 that have already been produced here. He goes for the drop in the main, but there's 2 Colossi have indeed been spotted. Cancels the medevac, goes for the Vikings. So important here. Yeah. Again, it comes back to that. Being aggressive also allows you to get information. Seeing the Colossi account there gives him the full confirmation to go for the Vikings.
And a scan kind of sees units walking away and sees units inside the main base here. I think LucifroN maybe starting to click to what's going on. But the big thing that he should always have around is just the threat of drops. It's so annoying as a Protoss player to move out and then get dropped with these medivacs. But LucifroN still no additional bunkers down. 3rd base is down on location. Viking count is, or should increase. 2nd starport down as well here. Is he going to identify? I'm not sure he has yet. I really don't think he's identified that this could be a push.
We're up against so many Stalkers right now. That is a lot of Stalkers being warped in. And again, no real big signs of that.
No, but look how many pylons are up on the left-hand side here. They're just positions ready to attack from, ready to pounce from here.
And
3 Colossus.
Only 2 Vikings out with 2 more on the way. This drop is going to try and occur, but that army should be able to shut it down. He always sees it. The observers are there, keeping an eye on it. LucifroN has to be very, very careful about those 3 Colossi.
Well, you see so many Stalkers in the middle of the map now. He must identify. He scans as well. Now he sees it, and now all of a sudden LucifroN really knows what's going on. Additional bunkers need to begin immediately. 3 get begun. The command center evacuated. No, he may just escape with these SCVs. Can LucifroN hold on? Remember that he needs to win this if he wants to go to the winner's match.
Trying to go for the drop here as well, and that's actually a lot of firepower that he has, but he actually gets pushed out of the front as well. Those Colossi doing a lot of damage here, also separating a lot of this off. The bunkers were not completed in time, and the Zealots tanking the damage at the front as well. Welmu has taken a supply advantage right now, and the Vikings are not doing what they need to do. They've only killed off one of the Colossi. Welmu, look at this with the army supply advantage as well, 57 to 34.
Yeah, LucifroN just never expected this. He didn't think about it, and now all of a sudden, Welmu's here, and it looks like Welmu's gonna, I would like to say, upset LucifroN at this point, because everybody's expecting LucifroN to beat him here.
Not only that, but if Welmu wins this right here, right now, then either LucifroN or Stefano are not going to the round of 8. That is big. That is huge here. The Protoss players are dominating right now, and Welmu pushing on forwards here, keeping these Colossi alive, making it work against him. And there you go, GG. Welmu 2-1 against LucifroN.
Wow, and he picks up a very big win for him. A massive win for Welmu, who moves on to the winner's match to face off against DuckDuck in a PvP. And we know how deadly he is when it comes to playing Protoss mirrors. He will have the opportunity to demonstrate that in the best possible opportunity for him to move through into the, round of 8. LucifroN, though, immediately, as we can see, watching the replay, as soon as that series is over, he wants to know how that happened. Why was he tricked? Was it the units inside the main base that thought that Welmu was being defensive? He never really exactly knew what was going on. And until that, that's kind of how it crumbles.
And there's the winning moment here of game number 3 was Welmu. Again, he causes an upset. This round of 16 so far has just been upset after upset after upset here. And both of the players you expected to win did not here in the first round. Welmu with a sigh of relief at the very end there.
That was definitely a whew.
Yeah.
I beat LucifroN, and he does indeed. So well done to Welmu. And he, as mentioned, moves on to the winner's match in a PvP. I think that's going to be a good game. I'm actually very excited to be able to see Welmu's PvP once again. We saw it against Baby Knight 2-0 in the round of 32, and he has his best chance to move through into the round of 8 here today.
And a player like Baby Knight in PvP, he's no pushover in PvP at all. But in the round of 32, Welmu made it look pretty easy.
Yeah.
But then DuckDuck himself has like an 88 win% ratio in PvP as well right now, which is over a very small sample of games in Heart of the Swarm, but still very strong for himself as well. Both of these players are 2 players that struggled through Challenger and Premier qualifications through Season 1 into Season 2. And now they're going to face off to see who gets that first spot in the round of 8.
It's crazy to think about the Premier League Season 1. How many Protoss players do we have in the round of 8? Just 1, which was Baby Knight, who was eliminated in the round of 32. But now we have 3 already through, guaranteed. With a Protoss versus Protoss in the winner's match, 1 will go through. And that's pretty cool. That means 3 so far out of 4 from day 1 and day 2.
And now we can hear from the man himself. I'm sure a lot of people want to hear the lovely Finnish accent of Mr. Welmu with Red Eye.
Yes, we're definitely going to hear the Finnish accent, that's for sure. Some sort of Finnish roar, perhaps, as well. Congratulations, Welmu. Fantastic game. Let's rewind a little bit and go back to game 1, because that didn't go quite the way you wanted it to. You were aggressive, but why didn't it pay off for you?
Well, it was basically just because, I wanted to do big, gateway timing. I knew exactly what build he was going for, and he went for it. But I accidentally, I added my gateways a little bit too late, because I got, I defended the Haras a little bit bad, worse than in practice, so the timings went completely wrong for me, and I had to I built gateways and looked like, my timing is completely off, I can't do this, so I had to transition into macro game, and well, I was I didn't prepare for a situation like that, and my game was just completely off, and LucifroN was able to take it.
Yeah, so you accidentally Stargate. by 7 at the start, and then because he saw all of that as well in that game. So that one went away. Game 2, you came out super aggressive, even more aggressive than Game 1. Why? What was your thoughts behind that?
Well, it was just because I wanted to mix up a little bit my builds, and Derelict is like one of my like very bad map for me in macro game, so I decided to do some all-in, and I know that like LucifroN's timings might have some weakness, and actually in that game I did small mistake too. I forgot to make pylon, and I had to add 4th gateway, and my timings were again a little bit off, but luckily like LucifroN didn't quite manage to read it. Like I managed to deny his scout, and he quite wasn't prepared for it.
Okay, and then talk us through Game 3. I mean, just the perfect game, really.
Yeah, that went quite well. Like everything exactly how I planned. Like LucifroN doesn't like to scan in main, so I know that he will take his 3rd base like without knowing that I have my 3rd. So I just like prepared for big all-in attack, and it worked out. And yeah.
Well, congratulations. Fantastic win, 2-1. You move on to the round of 8 now, and Dunk's next. And you're 1 win away from claiming a place in the round of 8. That must be tremendous for you.
Yeah, that's really great thing. I really want to focus on, I have focused on WCS mostly now, that since it's so big and good tournament. So yeah, it would really mean a lot for me, and yeah.
Well, best of luck in that. More special Finnish tactics to follow, I would imagine. Welmu is the winner of our game, and Apollo is going to tell us exactly how that happened.
Thank you, Redeye. Awesome interview as always. Now let's take a look at game number 3 of that best of 3 that we just saw. Kind of want to look at why that worked out so well for Welmu. I think the biggest thing to point out first is that LucifroN was never able to identify what exactly was coming his way. But the other things I would really want to put out is we talked a lot about what LucifroN couldn't see, didn't work out, but I want to look at now some of the brilliance from Welmu and what he did to enable him for it to work out so well. The number one problem when going for this kind of 2-base attack is drops, to be dropped as you're moving out, because if you go with all your units, these 2 medivacs will enter your base, they will do a lot of damage, and then of course he realizes much earlier that you're not at home defending and are coming for him, which buys him more time to set up bunkers and whatnot. But look at Welmu's observer spread. He's got multiple observers in a line. He straight away already knows that he's playing from south to north. So he created a line with 3 observers, so the drops are always going to come down. Maybe if LucifroN realized this, and maybe he watched it in the replay, said, well, if a Protoss player is going to do this, maybe I can come around from the natural, maybe. Because that's completely undefended. It's never ever going to be seen any drops that come. But with the line that you can see on the minimap, the way that it's spread, always sees the 2 medivacs. So what ends up happening in this game is these 2 medivacs are always been spotted. So Welmu decides to move out with his army very shortly, but he has the right amount of units at home defending, and it's 3 zealots, which are always going to do a lot of damage when the units land, and 3 stalkers to deal with the medivac. And he's tracking the medivacs. A small amount of units, not too much of a dedication to be able to defend, never needs to worry about coming back to defend because he's always following it. Watch, the medivacs move, and Welmu sees it all the time. So you'll notice his units inside his main base are tracking. Look at that, tracking. Always tracking, waiting for the drop, waiting for the drop. And he was already there. Photon overcharge immediately. Zealots in there, stalkers in there, and then this is already going on. As you can see, this was the biggest thing which enabled Welmu, on top of LucifroN not knowing what was coming, to really execute this attack well. And, well, congratulations to Welmu, who pushes through to the round of 8 with this push himself. And I'm looking forward to see his PvP. That's something I mentioned in the cast. I'm actually very much so looking forward to that, and we'll see if he can continue winning here in the round of 16. Over to you, Redeye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Apollo there with the analysis once more. Always fantastic to hear him break down the games. You can also check out his tutorials on YouTube, which ain't half bad either. We are going to move on to the winner's game very shortly. It's a very surprising winner's game, Dunk versus Welmu. How many of you had that out there? Ligulac, eat your heart out. We also have a special subscriber mode, premium of course, which you can subscribe to. And all the details are on your screen right now. You'll get 720 plus P, lovely, or 720p plus, what the heck? I have no idea what that was right then. And you'll get subscriber chat, and you'll get special emoticons. GG. This Twitch chat going crazy right now with GGs in green, I can see it. I can't, but I'm imagining that you're going to do that for me right now. Enough nonsense. We are going to take a very quick break, and when we come back, it will be the winners match, Welmu versus Duck Duck.